Hi everyone and welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're learning about more childhood games. We introduced a couple of fun classic childhood games yesterday, starting with Capture the Flag.
Yeah, in the game Capture the Flag, two teams try to capture or grab and control the other team's flag and then bring it back to their base. So what you're doing is you're dividing the field into two parts, dividing the kids or the group into two teams, and then you try to get the other team's flag.
And you can tag each other to put them in jail, tag them to get them out of jail, and so on.
Yeah.
The other game we looked at was called Broken Telephone. For this one, a group of people sit in a circle, and the first person starts by whispering a sentence to the person next to them.
That's right. Now, as the sentence and the whispering goes around the circle, the words in the sentence and the meaning of the sentence will probably change. People can't hear so well, or they forget some of the words. We're using a longer sentence here that might be a little tricky to remember just one time. And then once we reach the end of the circle, the last person says what they heard out loud, and it's often really different from the sentence that started. And it can actually be really, really funny.
Yeah, and we got a couple more games to get into today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's find out what they are.
Reading.
Remember these? Childhood games bring back the fun. If you only have a few friends with you, don't panic. Yesterday, we focused on games that require a large group, while today, we'll discuss smaller games. Keep the sides even with Foursquare. Use chalk to draw one square on the floor. Divide that into 4 smaller squares and number them from 1 to 4. One player stands in each square. Bounce a ball from square to square in order, without touching the inner lines or going outside the outer lines. Whoever makes a mistake is the loser. Jump into action with Hopscotch. There are many ways to play this game. Today, let's look at one popular way. Use some chalk to draw a hopscotch grid. Toss a rock onto square 1. Hop over the rock and on each square to the end. Turn around and come back, stopping on square 2. Balance on one foot. Pick up the rock and hop over square 1 to the start. Continue this pattern with square 2, and so on. If you make a mistake, you lose. No matter which game you choose, with the right friends, you're sure to have a great time.
All right, so today's article begins with another game, but first of all, there's kind of a weird sentence to kick things off. It says, if you only have a few friends with you, don't panic.
Well, of course, you couldn't play Capture the Flag or Broken
Yesterday's
Telephone.
games were
Just 2 or 3 of you.
That's right. Yesterday's games were good for 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 people. But sometimes you don't have all your classmates or a big group of friends and you still want to play a game. I remember even with board games, right? There's so many you can't play with just 2 people. You need 3, 4 or something like that. But if you only have a small group of friends, don't panic, all right? When you panic, you're freaking out, you're kind of losing your mind, probably because you're scared or something's happening and you don't know what to do. If you wake up at night and the house is shaking because there's an earthquake, what do I do? What do I do? Or if you wake up at night and smell smoke, what do I do? So people panic often when they kind of lose control of themselves, when they can't think clearly, often because of some dangerous, stressful situation that suddenly happens. For example, don't panic, but I think there is a bear outside the cabin.
Well, as soon as someone says don't panic to me, I'm just going to panic.
True, you're thinking, what am I going to panic about?
Exactly.
Yeah, but the bear's out there, he's just looking through the garbage, the door is strong, and well, hopefully he won't come in. So don't panic.
Don't panic.
It'll be fine.
All right. So
Yes.
don't worry if you haven't got a big group right now.
Right.
There are other games. The article says, yesterday we focused on games that require a large group.
Yeah, that's true.
While today we'll discuss smaller games. So yeah, the article and that we read yesterday, that focused on big team games. To focus on something means to concentrate on that thing, to give attention to that thing, to spend a lot of time or energy, or in the article's case, words, dealing with a particular issue. We didn't look at small games for small numbers of players because we're focusing on that today.
All right, well, let's look at our first game. It says, keep the sides even with 4 square.
Okay.
I'm guessing you'll need 4 players for this game?
I think so, but we'll see.
Right.
The article says, use chalk to draw 1 square on the floor.
Okay, on the ground.
Yep, simple enough.
Yep. All right, so you're in the playground at school. Don't do this in your living room on the floor. Your mom will probably freak out. But if you're outside in the park, in the playground especially, or on the sidewalk, I guess you could do it, use chalk to draw 1 square on the floor. Probably quite a big square.
Yes,
maybe like
the first
2
one.
meters each side or
Yes.
something like that. Divide that into 4 smaller squares and number them from 1 to 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that would make sense. Each square is about a meter around. Okay, so we've got a big square and 4 smaller squares. So it kind of, looks like a game board of some kind.
Right, and 1 player stands in each square.
4 square.
Yeah, 4 players.
Okay.
Then what do?
Bounce a ball, probably a handy tennis ball. Bounce a ball from square to square in order, meaning going 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4. So bounce a ball from square to square in order without touching the inner lines or going outside the outer line. So kind of like in tennis or something.
Yes.
If the ball touches the line or goes over the line, it's out. To stay safe, you got to keep it in the lines, and you're bouncing the ball. So you're not throwing the ball to the person, you're bouncing it. When something bounces like a ball, it hits the ground and then comes back. When we play tennis, the ball is supposed to bounce, but only 1 time before the other player has to hit it. If it bounces 2 times, then you're out, basically. Then you lose the point. So if something bounces like a ball, and of course basketball players to run or to even walk, they have to bounce or dribble, they call it in that sport, but basically they are bouncing the basketball on the floor.
Okay, and you've got to do this bouncing in the squares in order.
Right.
So in order is a phrase to say that whatever's going on, it's in a kind of an order, usually a very particular and logical order, like going from left to right.
Okay.
No, you don't go there, then there, then there, and there. Huh? That's not an order, but go there.
Oh, okay.
Or in numerical order, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not 3, 1, 2, 2, 4, 1. That's not an order.
I can't follow that order.
Yeah, just 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, like if your school teacher asks, everyone line up with the tallest students there and the shortest students there, we're lining up in order of height, not order of age or the grade or the first name, the first letter in your last name or something like that. Okay,
and
makes sense.
Don't touch the inner lines when you bounce the ball.
Right, okay, and don't go over the outside lines. Now, inner means on the inside. That's what we're talking about. So we're talking about things that could be in 2 places or maybe are in 2 places, but we're talking about the inside one, the one that is closer to the middle. For example, loud music has damaged Tony's inner ear, and now he can't hear very well. We don't see our inner ear. It's all those little bones inside your ear. This would be your outer ear, and of course, if you damage that, you might get a cut or something. But the inner ear, that's where all the hearing stuff happens.
And as Mike said, outer is on the outside. Think of something like that. If you were wearing different layers of clothes, your inner layer might be a t-shirt, your outer layer is a jacket.
Right.
That kind of thing. So we could say the outer layer of the tent stops water and wind from coming through.
Okay.
The material's different or it's been treated with something, so the outside is waterproof, the inside is maybe a bit softer.
Right.
Something else, and that will also create another layer of heat.
Okay, yeah, if you had the inner layer stop the water, well, water would come through most of the way, and that wouldn't make much sense. All right, so whoever makes a mistake is the loser. So, I mean, it is kind of like tennis, right?
Yeah.
You're bouncing the ball, you don't want it to hit the lines, and if you hit the line or miss the person or do it out of order, and you lose. You are the loser of that game. Now, loser in this sense just means someone who doesn't win, all right? So if there are people running in a race or competing in some kind of event and this guy wins and she comes second and they come third or whatever, that's all fine, but the people who don't win would be the loser. I mean, would you call the second place person a loser?
If there's only two people, yes.
Yeah, I guess you would, but you know, I think it would be sort of if you don't get anything at the end of the game. But basically, yeah, if you don't win, you are one of the losers. For example, in a running race against his older brother, Jerry usually ends up being the loser because his brother's taller and stronger and, you know, faster.
All right, time to introduce our next game. So the article introduces our next game by saying, jump into action with hopscotch. So to jump into action means to do something active and start it in a quick way. You don't hesitate. You don't think about, oh, how do I do this? You start with a lot of energy. You go, we're playing, let's go! And immediately just start doing what you're doing. No thinking, no preparing, no warming up. Just get on with it.
All right, then the article tells us there are many ways to play this game. Yeah, it sounds like a game you could play in lots of different ways. I think we used to play this game when I was a kid. We called it Champ.
Okay.
Because I think the circles were ordered 1, 2, 3, and the fourth one was Champ, like you're number one. And as you win, you end up there, and as long as you keep winning, you stay there. But the rules were basically the same.
Right, so yeah hopscotch. There are many ways to play it, and the article says today, let's look at one popular way to play this game of hopscotch.
All right.
So, how does it work?
All right, use some chalk to draw a hopscotch grid. And of course, we're doing this also on the ground, outside, in the playground, maybe on the sidewalk. Do not do this in your living room, your bedroom, your kitchen. Do it outside. So here we're drawing a grid. It's kind of a special grid, right? You can kind of see it's got 2 squares that are alone, and then 2 more that are together, and then 1 that alone, and then 2 more together, and that kind of thing.
As many as you want,
As many as you want, because you're just kind of going to go through the whole thing. What is a grid? Basically, a grid is kind of like that thing that we saw for the first game of Foursquare, right? It's basically lines that form a pattern. Usually there's a bunch of lines going this way, a bunch of lines going that way, and that's the way we sort of plan things, organize things. We'll see grids on maps. We'll use grids in our math class to draw triangles and shapes and things like that. Grids can be used for all sorts of stuff, but basically they're a simple way to kind of keep things in order or keep them, or know where they are when compared to others.
Okay, so you need some chalk, but for this one, you don't need a ball. All you need to do is get a rock, a stone,
a little stone,
pebble.
Nothing big.
No, just a small one.
Small one.
And the article says, toss a rock onto square 1. So that's the one that's right in front of your feet. So pretty easy. You don't even really need to toss it.
You can just drop it.
Exactly, because toss means to throw something gently. Now, we can use this word casually to sort of mean throw in any reasonable, casual way. Toss would strictly mean underarm. It tends to be an underarm word, I guess.
But even if you threw it in a, in a nice, gentle half circle.
It's not a hard like baseball pitch or anything like that.
No.
It's a gentle throw, and we could also use it to mean throw away. I'm going to toss the garbage. Just throw that in that nice, smooth way into the garbage truck. So you might ask your friend, hey, can you toss me that eraser?
Okay.
So he'll just go, oh, there you go. Whoop. rather
right.
than, hey, catch.
Though that would be a little dangerous, and if I miss it, it might hit something, and that would be bad. All right, so here we are. We've got our hopscotch grid. We've tossed a stone or a rock onto the first square. That's the one, as you said, right closest to us. So hop over the rock and on each square to the end. Oh, so you don't put your feet on square one.
Yep.
You go to square two and then go all the way to the end, turn around and come all the way back. Is that the idea?
Yep, and of course you should be hopping on
one
leg. So
okay.
Yeah, that's why it's called hopscotch.
And when there's two, you can put 2 feet down, but then you have to go back to 1 foot.
Exactly. So it's kind of this little pattern of hops and jumps.
Yeah.
Then it says turn around.
Okay.
So when you reach the end,
right.
turn around and come back, stopping on square 2. So not number 1, not going past it, just stay on square 2.
Gotcha.
And so, of course, to do that, you'll need to turn around.
Yes, absolutely. When you turn around, you move your body through 180 degrees, as the lovely Pat is demonstrating here. Can you turn all the way around?
There we go.
Wow, look at that. He's a very talented man.
That was hard.
I'm sure it was. But basically, yeah, if you're going the wrong direction, if you should be going that way, you're not just going to walk backwards till you get where you want to go. Well, you could, but you'll probably hit a tree. So it's best to turn around so your eyes are going in the way you want to go. But if you turn in 180 degrees, or from this way to that way, you are turning around.
Okay, now let's look at today's language in focus. So today's language in focus is all about how we can reduce a clause and turn it into something more like a VING participle phrase. Now we can do that when the subject of both clauses are the same. And we can remove linking words like and when we do this. So if we gave this sentence in sort of extra words, a full sentence, we could say, turn around and come back, and then stop on square 2. But we can get rid of the and the then and turn the stop into stopping to say, turn around and come back, stopping on square 2. And we can do this if we're using a relative clause as well, assuming the subjects match up. The man who lives next door to me is a doctor. The man living next door to me is a doctor. We change who lives into living. The man living next door to me is a doctor. Okay, so you're doing this hopping, you've hopped over, gone to the end, turned around, come back, you're on square 2.
Okay.
The rock's on square 1.
It's right in front of me.
What do you do?
You balance on 1 foot.
Oh, I thought you were on 1 foot most of the time. Maybe there are different rules for the game.
I guess you are balancing on 1 foot most of the time, but this time you have to pick up the rock while still on 1 foot.
That's hard.
That is hard. This would be a really good game for your balance and for your leg muscles and everything like that. And we often think of it as a kid's game. I think as an adult, I would have a real challenge playing this game. Maybe I should take up hopscotch again.
Okay, so it says pick up the rock.
Right, with one leg. Okay, that's hard.
Pick up the rock and hop over square 1 to the start.
Yay, I'm finished.
No, you're not.
Well, I'm finished one round. Okay, so continue this pattern with square 2 and so on. If you make a mistake, you lose. So we're probably taking turns with our friends. I'll do square 1, you do 2, she does 3, he does 4. And of course, as you go higher, you have to throw the rock further. Oh boy, this sounds quite challenging. All right, so what is a pattern? A pattern is basically when you do something in a certain way and then you repeat doing it in the same way. We often do this with jobs where we want to be very careful that what we're doing always looks and ends up being the same. So cooks might work with a pattern, artists might work with a pattern, anyone making things might work with a pattern because of course when they're selling them, the people want to buy something that looks like all of the other things. When we talk about doing things in a pattern, your actions, your motions, your gestures, what you're doing seems to kind of always follow the same thing. It goes from this to that, and then eventually it goes right back to the beginning and starts all over again. For example, my pet mouse runs on his wheel drinks some water, eats some food, then repeats the pattern. Wheel, water, food, wheel, water, food, all day long. That's the pattern that this mouse has chosen.
Okay, so we've talked about 4 different games. Let's put some conclusions on this article. The article says, no matter which game you choose, with the right friends, you're sure to have a great time. And of course, if you are sure to do something, this phrase be sure to means be certain to. We use it to show that something will very likely, almost certainly happen.
You're guaranteed to have a great time.
Of course you are, especially if you're playing with a group of friends who are being a bit silly and having a bit of fun with
Absolutely, that's when it's the most fun.
Okay, so that is the end of the article, but we're not quite done. Let's go to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
The question is, do you prefer playing games inside or outside? Explain your answer.
Well, I guess these days I prefer to play games inside. Partly it's the weather. Often in Taiwan it's really hot outside.
Or raining.
Or raining, that's true. And I don't really play a lot of these games anymore, but they do sound like fun. So maybe I should be outside playing Foursquare with my friends or something. But I think these days I might play games inside, board games or computer games or things like that.
Yeah, with friends, it would be likely to be inside games, particularly board games. I'm not much of a video gamer myself, but because I have a small child, he wants to... I will play games with him inside, but that's noisy and messy.
Right.
So going outside and playing these kind of fun games, kicking balls, throwing things, and as he gets older, I'll teach him a lot of these games when he can understand the rules, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun playing exactly these kinds of games, and I'll probably enjoy them and have a sort of second childhood.
Yeah, maybe you can plant a horse chestnut tree in your local park and teach him to play conkers.
If we go back to the UK at the right time, we are on that. He's going to take on his cousin. He's going to beat him good.
That's right. And you can try to bring the conker nuts back into Taiwan and explain to the people at the airport, it's not to eat. We're using these to play a game. And they'll look at you like you're crazy. But it's fun.
I probably am crazy,
it's
but
fun.
Never mind. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. We're out of time for English for You. I'm Pat.
I'm Mike.
Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Have fun.
Vocabulary Review. Panic. I started to panic when I found that my cat wasn't anywhere in the house. Inner. Our inner ear helps us stay balanced so we can stand up and walk easily. Outer. For my outer clothes, I think I'll wear this long brown coat. Loser. Let's play cards. The loser has to buy lunch for the winner. Toss. My friend tossed me an orange when I asked if he had any snacks. Pattern. There's a pattern to these strange sounds. I think it's actually a kind of code.
智慧小补帖
Bounce. Hopscotch. Grid.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是www.english4u.net www.english4u.net